What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. Welcome to the show. Everybody knows your name. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We're going to talk about why it matters when you were born in the 90s. We'll talk about all kinds of other shit. That's for the end of the show, though. We're not going to have that discussion right now. Right now, we're getting into really one of the best episodes of season 2 of the show. It clears up a lot of stuff. It puts us in the position for what will be the big finale of this season. And of course, we're going to be talking about episode 6 of almost in Stranger Things. Good God. See, I was watching the Stranger
We're
Things.
not there yet.
We're not there yet. We've got a little bit of time. But The Last of Us season 2. Here to talk about it with me is, of course, my hitter life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
Hopefully I won't be in a retirement home by the time they put out season 4 of Stranger Things. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
I'm a hell of a lot closer to that than you are, so I'm kind of hoping that they put that out before I hit retirement status.
Well, I'm saying that's worse. I'm like, if I make it to there, I'm like, we really have a problem. Good Lord.
That is a legitimate fear for me because I don't know whether they're ever going to get into this season of that.
Or if the kids themselves who are younger than me get to like be in middle age or something in this new season. Because
Good Lord, guys. This show came out like 10 years ago when it started. I think genuinely it was like 10 years ago.
I do think that like half these kids are either married or engaged to be married now, like in real life.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure. Because
I know Millie Bobby Brown's marrying John Bon Jovi's kid.
Yeah. Finn Wolfhard, maybe?
The kid, the super nerdy one, who always wears the hat. I thought he was engaged to somebody. I don't read the personal stuff about celebrities.
Getting
I don't read the personal shit about celebrities because I don't really care about them like that. But you know,
I don't know. They're all like in their 20s now, so I don't know.
But let's get let's get right down to it as I pull up the correct picture here because I'm all cattywampus to where I wanted to be. We are here to talk about The Last of Us season 2 episode 6, and again, this was a big flashback episode. You know, we were talking about when we were doing season 1 of Loki some odd years ago that every one of the Marvel shows kind of has that one episode late in the season where it's not a particularly important episode. It's not a lot of action. It's not a lot of exposition, but it just kind of puts the pieces in place for the final run to the end. And I think that's really what this episode did for this season of the show. It answers a lot of questions. It ties up a few loose ends, at least for this season. And it gets us ready for whatever this episode 7 will bring us, and definitely is going to set up a lot of stuff for what's going to be coming in season 3 rather. I don't know, Jeremy. I know that this was probably a particularly interesting episode for you because it made from what I heard, some pretty big deviations from the game. Mostly kind of structurally. But also, we did have, one character that we explore a little bit more, even if it was just for a little bit of this one episode, rather than just kind of seeing them in passing in the game. I mean, let's break down kind of what this episode was all about first with all the flashbacks. I mean, we got I really love the multiple kinds, showing the birthdays year by year. It was an interesting way to watch their father-daughter like relationship grow without having to dedicate a whole lot of time to it over the course of a couple of seasons. It was really interesting to kind of watch this whole thing take place. What do you think of all the flashbacks using her birthdays as kind of this way to see their relationship blossom into what it would eventually become?
Well, like I said at the very beginning, because we are kind of out of time, we're just kind of in the current the current time of like Ellie. We come off with her being really mad at Joel. It's like if you play the game, you already know, but like if you don't know, you're kind of wondering like, okay, what happened? Because like from season 1 and obviously like from the first game too, you're like, these two seem to have had developed a pretty strong bond over the things that they spent that whole last year going through with Joel trying to get Ellie to the Fireflies. So you're kind of wondering like, well, what the hell? What went sideways here? Like, why are these two, or at least maybe just Ellie at least, like at his throat all the time? So, and like I said, context was coming. It's gonna suck once you put the pieces of the timeline together and realize like, oh damn, because what comes next. So it kind of hits you in the emotions even more. seeing that built up, because like that's what we were used to, is seeing the two of them have that, you know, seemingly nice like surrogate, like father-daughter relationship with each other. And as we see through the birthdays, we, you know, see them trying to navigate through Ellie navigating through her teenage years, and Joel just trying to be, having his second chance at being a dad, hoping he does things right. Because as we saw with the even further flashback, further back to when he was that scene with him and his dad when he was younger.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a second too. I thought that was a cool scene.
Yeah, so I'll save that. But yeah, it's like, so it's like, you know, like when they said that, like, yeah, now Joel's in the hot seat. I was trying to be, you know, the supportive dad. But as we know, he's still carrying that secret of what, you know, he told a lie right to Ellie's face. So yeah, it was cool. Like I said, this is what we wanted. Like, we want the two of them. You want them to get along because, you know, again, they do care. They do genuinely care for one another. So it's nice to kind of rewind back to think like, oh yeah, this was nice, wasn't it? This was real nice. I hope nothing bad ever happens to these characters. Because, dear God, like, it's going to get dark and it's going to get depressing. So, but that's how it is in this world. Honestly, it's like, I don't know if I say true to life, but man, it's brutal. You know what I mean? It's like there's no chances here to really stop and have these kind of moments. So yeah, it was cool to see them. You know what I mean? Like, they actually get to have these genuine moments with each other amidst a world of people with mushrooms on their face trying to eat your face.
Yeah. Yeah, I personally, like I said, I really like that they made this the not stage clearing, but the stage setting episode.
The palate cleanser.
I agree with a palate cleanser because, you know, like I said,
because we know what's coming.
I think we've always called the purple episode of season 1 of Loki. A lot of people kind of shit on that episode for a lot of reasons, but I was like, I thought that episode was very good. It put everything in place for that final thrust of it. I think there was 2 episodes left of that season after that, but there was still a lot that had to happen. Happen for that season. This is no different. I mean, a little bit of a different angle because we're getting the second game split up into two seasons, so we're kind of only ideally anyway, at the halfway point of the game. But I thought it was really interesting to, like, because there's still so much going on. You know, you're not going to get to all of it in the next 2 episodes. You may as well have this episode that kind of positions everybody for this final run at whatever chaos, whatever emotion, whatever relationship stuff is going to happen over the course of this next episode and then into the next season. I thought it was a beautiful way of doing that. And listening to Neil Druckmann talk about it in the after show, about how he did want to kind of change a few things to really explore some of that emotional stuff on TV the way that maybe he couldn't explore it in the game. I thought was fantastic. And look, I'm not going to lie. To me, I've said for years now that my favorite writer for film or television for a long time has been Aaron Sorkin. Fucking Neil Druckmann, he's getting up there. I mean, Neil Druckmann and God, why am I drawing the blank on the other guy?
The guy doing this show?
Yeah.
Craig Mazin?
Craig Mazin, yes.
Mazin,
both those guys have been so damn good about crafting the story. I mean, these 2 guys are right up there with Aaron Sorkin for me right now, as far as writers who can not just give dialogue to people to read. They really are creating something very, very special. And Craig Mazin, along with Chernobyl, which I will never stop talking about how great that show is. Yeah. He managed in that show in particular, a lot like this one, he managed to take that really, really dark stuff and not make it just entertaining, but he gives it a different emotional weight than I think it would have in other ways. I don't know if you've watched Chernobyl or not, but there's really a lot of focus on people. There's a lot of focus on the people that were involved in that thing.
Well, yeah, because like we know what happens. It's like, but what else happened? What happened with the? Yeah, that's what we want to know. Yeah,
because the explosion is only part of the story. There was a great many people that were involved in trying to contain it, involved in the aftermath, affected by all the radiation and all this stuff. He did walk a very good line between telling the story of the explosion at the power plant and the people that were involved in this situation at a personal level. And I think he's done it very well here. I do think sometimes I would like to see a little more action, but then I get an episode like episode 3 of last year, which was some of the best character work I've seen on television in years. And in this episode, which we already know these characters of Joel and Ellie, but I mean, this is probably the best I've seen them both on screen in now almost 2 seasons of the show. Brilliantly done. I mean, the writing on this show, the creativity around this is the highest level. I cannot speak enough about that. And I'm not even one of these people that's like really steeped in the history of the game like you are. I know some people that are really into the game might like this show for a lot of reasons that I wouldn't even know about. But it's just, if I came into this cold, not ever having heard of the game, I'd be wrapped up in the show, I think. And I think there are a lot of people that are. A lot of people that aren't big gamers that watch this and are like, holy shit, this is great drama. But
even though I know, I'm still invested. Like that's the point, that you still make these characters compelling. Like, I mean, like I've said, people who like want more action, I'm like, well, you could go play the games. I mean, like, I would always recommend that. Go check out the games, really. It's still a fun time. Obviously, with the game aspect, you're going to have more navigating these overgrown, wastelands, and there's, of course, can be infected all over the place, and there's a little more involved with that. But the point was that, like, it was the characters and the story and the very cinematic nature of the games that made it so compelling. It's like, you don't even really. It's like, yeah, the infected are one thing, but that's the point, is the characters and the story you're telling and the interactions they all have with each other. That's the thing you really got to hit home with, and they do it in both mediums pretty well.
Oh yeah. But also we finally get one big question about this season answered. We finally figure out exactly what happened surrounding Eugene. Look, here's my only real knock on this season so far, is you can never have enough Joey Pants. You can never have enough Joey Pantoliano. I think he's a wonderful actor. Did you notice the other Joey Pantoliano appearance in this episode? I'll let you think on it for a minute if you have to. Okay. But there's actually 2 appearances by Joey Pantoliano in this, 2 different roles, believe it or not. But it was this thing that they've kind of talked around, and I think even Neil Druckmann even joked about it in the after show. It's like, we've been kind of like talking around this thing. It was just time to finally pay it off, we figured, at this point in the season. And I'm really glad they did it. It really did help drive home one of the fracture points in Joel and Ellie's relationship. Not only that, but we understand why, Gail has her problem. And obviously she says early on that, you killed my husband. That we don't really know the reason why. I mean, we assume he had gotten bit and he was getting ready to turn or something like that. I don't think anybody ever thought that Joel had actually, killed him out of malice or anything. But nonetheless, it was going to be a significant emotional point for a lot of people. What do you think of us finally getting Eugene in the show and how that scene was handled?
That was pretty cool. Dude's a phenomenal actor. It's like you have one good scene in this show, in this episode, and I'm like, just like we said with like Catherine O'Hara, I'm like, just when we watched the first episode, just of her and Joel talking, I'm just like sitting like this forward, like, yeah, like I'm listening. I'm like, I'm just drawn in. Now, obviously, it comes with the fact that, like I said, these are, Hall of Famers, like we're saying. But I was like, damn, man, like this guy sells it from the get-go. And it's a shitty situation to be in. It's like, what do you really do? Like, this poor guy, he knows it's not, it's the end's coming for him. And Joel's in the position of like, well, we have rules, man. Like, it sucks, but it is what it is. And I can't just risk taking you back. And although it's like, he wants to let him have his final wish of seeing his wife again, kind of give them their closure and say their goodbyes. But yeah, I don't know what you'd really do in that situation. I don't know if you would still really want to risk that. But like dude sells that emotion really well. Just pleading with Joel that he just wants to see his wife one last time, tell her goodbye. He has other things he still has to tell her, and I'm like, I'm already sitting there like, what is it? Like, I'm like, I want to know what is this, like. Man, I would have loved to have seen like what that scene would have played out like, if they had let him have that. But it does kind of bring, like you said, that's kind of a breaking point between Joel and Ellie. But also, it's like there's another breaking point coming because she's already sitting there having these questions of like, all this stuff doesn't really make sense. So then her seeing Joel sit there and I don't know what you tell someone in that situation, like when he's trying to tell Kevin's mom what happened. Just what she needs to hear, I guess he said. And I was almost kind of like, when she just kind of throws him under the bus, I was like, you little shithead. What? Really? I know you're pissed off at him right now because you have questions of your own, but I was like, damn. So, yeah, it's like that kind of makes the wounds come open, as they say, and now it's all out in the open air. So now we just got to. I know we're getting to that scene, the really heavy emotional scene on the porch, but yeah, that's a hell of a way to start having them go going separate ways like that. Was it not Final Destination? Why is it on my head? Because we're doing that Thursday, by the way. No, the other movie, the Fast and the Furious, where they got like 27 movies that they shouldn't have. Yeah. Going separate ways on the highway now. So, yeah.
Yeah,
very well done.
This whole sequence with Eugene gave me a lot of feelings for a couple different reasons. Number one is Joey Pantoliano is a fucking amazing actor. I mean, even going back to like the early mid '80s, see him and stuff like Goonies and like playing the punk street guy and Running Scared back in the '80s. It's like even back then he was good. He was entertaining. He's got great acting chops because I've seen him do everything from comedy to the serious stuff in The Sopranos to being a part of the buddy cop thing in the Bad Boy movies. It's like there's nothing this guy does where he doesn't kind of fit perfectly. He really gets what every role is supposed to be. And I think mostly it's because he just has fun doing it. I can tell there are some times when I see him on screen, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's digging the scene. He's having a lot of fun. There was a couple scenes in The Sopranos I could tell that he was just running it. I mean, he was having so much fun doing this thing. He actually says that one of the reasons why he plays mostly cops and gangsters is because I think his mother dated somebody who was affiliated with the mob when he was young, and because of that, he knew a lot of gangsters and a lot of cops. So it was just what he grew up around. So he just knew the world. But I mean, even then, but even then, it's like every other thing that he's done away from those things, he's just been good. I think dialogue delivery is something that's very, very important in a film, and I think he just hammers this line home, and he makes it look so easy. I mean, I know sometimes you look at it and say, oh, he's just kind of doing what Tom Cruise does. He's just playing Joe Pantoliano doing this, but this one, it's like it's obvious that there's this, he shows Joel and Ellie that he'd been bitten. He knows how this is going to end for him. And he's just like, so he's fighting through all that initial fear to just kind of say, look, I need to convince you guys to just let me get to this one place where I can say goodbye. And then whatever happens. You can shoot me. You guys can do whatever. I know how this is going to end. I just want this one more thing before I go. And like, even going back, he still has the smarts to tell Joel as they're walking. He's like, this cordyceps, it makes you feel cold. I'm feeling colder. Like describing these effects that it's having on him in a way that Joe probably hasn't heard it before, because usually if Joe sees somebody gets bit, he just ends them right there because he doesn't want them turning into cordyceps. So this is Joe really getting a personal view of what exactly this does to you. He doesn't get that with Ellie because she's immune. She's been bit several times. She puts a Band-Aid on it and goes on about her way. Like, we cut ourselves shaving or something like that. But this is the first time he's ever been able to get like a play-by-play of what this change looks like. And I kind of figured that was one of the things that kind of scared him into going ahead and shooting him on that riverbank, was because he was like, now I'm getting a description of what this does, and it makes it even more terrifying. So now I really don't want this thing anywhere near me.
And coming out of the mouth of this like scared and obviously like desperate man who just wants to do one last thing. And again, Joel's in a rock and a hard place where it's like, we got rules and we got ways we got to deal with this, but also he's like, it's like, I don't want to rob you of this, but it's like, I don't really have a choice. Like, that's rough, man. I don't know.
I think this show, because look, here's the one thing that I realized about the scene is that, 5 years earlier, before he meets Ellie, before, when it was just him and Tess stomping around Boston, wherever they were when the show starts.
Boston, yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't even have given this guy a second thought. He'd have put a bullet in his head right there and walked off. I think part of the reason why this scene is important is it shows how the relationship with Ellie has changed him. He kind of wants to be a better person again, whereas when we first run into him early in the first season, he's really just trying to survive one day to the next. There's no future. He's just, I just got to eat once today, and I want my bourbon, and I'm going to try to get hold of my brother. That's kind of his whole deal when we first meet him in season 1. But
if I had a cup of coffee today, I've had a good day. Right?
Yeah, no doubt. But it does. I think that does show that even just letting him live for an extra couple of minutes is something that Joel wouldn't have done when we first met him. After not early in the first episode where we see everything going with Sarah and the outbreak start, but I mean where we see him in Boston and what he's
the 20-year time jump after all that stuff he's gone through.
So yeah, I think this was an indication as to how the relationship with Ellie has changed him back into someone who really wants to be more empathetic, who really wants to be more caring, but he still is trapped between the guy he's trying to become again, the fatherly figure, and that guy who's like, I got to do what I got to do. We're not in a good position here. If you were one of the last few infected people left, I would say maybe we can try this out. But it's like, no, there's still big problems out here, and you're about to become part of it. So I gotta do what I gotta do. The other thing I got from this scene is over the course of this episode, I was finally starting to like Ellie for the first time all season. I understand
you're supposed to get back to like how we felt in the first season, like them actually becoming closer.
I know. I understand that she's been through a lot, and as we'll talk about here in a minute, we obviously finally got to see the talk where Joel fesses up to exactly what happened with the Fireflies at the end of season 1. But I was really annoyed by her like teenage angst. I know that she was going to go through it. I mean, she's 19. Anybody who's been 19 knows it's kind of an emotional roller coaster in the benign circumstances. So, factor in apocalypse, it's going to make things probably 100 times worse. And so, I mean, I kind of got it, but Ellie's been so dumb this entire season. And I really get disappointed because I don't think Ellie's a dumb person or a dumb character. She's been brought up in this. She learned early on in her life, don't go to certain areas because there's a lot of infected. Don't do dumb things. Approach things very thought out and planned out. And after, the events of episode 2 and Joel's death, and she wants to go after Abby, she throws all that into her really, I think, good intelligence out the window. It's just like, I'm just going to go ahead and go. And I'm like, look, I get that you want your revenge. I get that you're in an emotional place right now, but you also have to be smart. And you're supposed to be smart. You struck me as kind of smart this entire series so far. Why are you doing something so ridiculously stupid? She has been stupid all season. I was having trouble kind of qualifying that with how smart I think she can be, and how smart she's been so far at times. But then just to have this moment where, and like I said, we go through the whole thing, especially the scene. We'll talk about this a little bit more in depth here in a second. But the whole scene in the space capsule, I was like, that was one of those really wonderfully shot, beautifully emotional scenes that it brings the humanity back into the chaos. But so I go through all this, and I'm finally starting to like her again. And then we get back, and she's like, "No, that's not really what happened. Joel shot him in the fucking head because he had gotten bit." And I'm like, A, why are you shitting on Joel like this? Because that's what you're doing. B, why are you shitting on Gail like this? Because you're gonna make things worse for her. It's like, and C, why are you just being a dumbass? There was really no reason to do that other than I am an emotional teenager and I'm lashing out. And I was like, come on. I was finally starting to like you again for like 30 minutes, and then you go and pull this shit, and now I'm just tired of seeing your face. And I got to thinking about it. I'm like, I'm kind of looking forward to the possibility of a good portion of season 3 focusing on Abby and us not getting a whole lot of Ellie, because I'm kind of burned out on her right now. I'm just really annoyed. It's like that person that you really love. You love them a lot. They've been in your life forever. Maybe they're a relative or a close friend that you've known since like elementary school. But every now and again, you're just like, dude, I've had enough of you for a while. Can we go a week not talking so I can kind of decompress? Then maybe I can be around you again and not want to have to pour gasoline in your eyeballs and just watch them melt out. So, but yeah, that's kind of the way I felt about the whole thing. I mean, that entire sequence with Eugene was fantastic, I thought. Again, not enough Joey Pantoliano, but it did do a very concise and a very good job of explaining exactly the situation surrounding him and why Joel had to kill him. I didn't figure it was out of malice. I didn't figure it was out of cold blood. I figured it was probably for a reason, like he got bit and Joel didn't have much of a choice. But at the same time, actually, I thought there was an off chance that Eugene may have betrayed somebody, and that's why Joel killed him, because everybody was talking so highly of Eugene over the course of the season. Eugene was a great guy. Eugene taught me how to run patrols, and they were talking about his history as a fireflyer, in episode 2, and so on and so on. But so I kind of wondered if like maybe he had turned on somebody at one point and kind of screwed somebody, and that's why he ended up getting shot. But no, it's really just as simple as he got bit. But it was kind of different from the game. Speaking of which. Go ahead. What do you say?
I've been trying to say, I'm like, well, to be fair, like we said, even in benign circumstances, like teenagers aren't exactly known for being rational at all. Not reading the room, I think, is kind of what happened there. My only defense to it is that I think, remember, she already had that conversation with herself there about, okay, I'm going to write these questions down and ask Joel because it's just been bugging me for the past 5 years. And I'm like, that's already on her mind. So I think, again, maybe bad execution, not the right time to do it. But the reason she leg sweeps Joel so hard right there in that moment is I'm like, she already kind of has that seed of doubt in her head this whole time that like, maybe he's not being completely truthful with me. It's like, I don't know how well she really, really knows him, but she's kind of like, yeah, he's willing to do this. And she's seeing it like, him trying to, I mean, that's also a hard thing to navigate. You're navigating this this woman who's now having to grief over her husband dying, in whatever circumstance that may have been. But she's kind of like, yeah, this dude's just gonna lie. He's lied to me, or so she thinks. Like, yeah, he's probably lied to me before, and now she's gonna lie to her. So she kind of just puts him on blast right there, and I'm like, yeah, dude, not the best time to do that, but Jesus, man. Again, I know you're upset about it, but I think that's where she rationalized it. Like, yeah, he's probably been lying to me. So, like, what else? That just sends her off on. Again, she's not thinking about the consequences of this. So, I don't know. I had that look. I think that was on excuse me, on Joel's face there in that shot where he's with Gail. It was kind of like everyone's reaction, like. Right now, really? Like, damn.
Yeah, no doubt. But BJ, you could never overwhelm me. you're not nearly as obnoxious and angst filled as a 19-year-old girl. You've got your shit together. You're okay. But
aren't you lucky I wasn't a 19-year-old girl in an
apocalypse? No doubt.
There you go.
But I mean, I was doing okay at 19, and I was kind of an idiot too. So I mean, I kind of see it at one point, but at the same time, I feel like I was above average in the intelligence. I mean, not the smartest, but I mean, certainly not anywhere near the dumbest. But
that's why I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, one time I was young and dumb. Now I'm just dumb. Like, now I'm just dumb, kind of.
As young as them, yeah. I'm dumber now. But
I've dialed it back a little bit. I think I'd like to think.
Yeah, let's. I want to go back to the very beginning of the episode for a minute. I probably should have started with this, but I didn't have my notes in the right order. Yeah. This scene with his dad to open the episode, I thought was fantastic. I know this is kind of a deviation from the game. I don't think this happens in the game. No. An amazingly shot scene that I think frames. It's interesting to know how Joel became Joel, and I think this scene is really all we needed from his youth to kind of figure it out. Again, fantastic dialogue delivery, great character work in the scene, very poignant, and it really does get you kind of in the frame of mind you need to be in for what this episode is. What do you think of this opening scene with young Joel and his dad, and obviously his brother?
And Tommy for about 30 seconds. Yeah, it, like I said, things that like give more context or things that we hadn't seen from the game that I'm not necessarily upset that you put it in there because it works narratively. I think this is one of those scenes. Like we talk about all the time with like the episode with Frank and Bill. I was like, yeah, I mean, we never saw that unfold, but I was like, damn. Now having that in context, seeing that having unfolded, god damn. Like, so, and that was a whole episode. I mean, this was just like the cold open. You still get that sense of something that is brought up, I believe, like in the first game when Tommy and Joel meet up again at Jackson at the hydro plant. And he always talks about, how I'm the older brother and I've watched over you our whole lives and I've kept us alive these last 20 years. And obviously it's like, you see that here, even like when they're kids, he's always trying to look out for his little brother and take the blame for something that he didn't do. And then, yeah, I think even just like we said, just you sell that whole where you understand where everyone's coming from, and especially Joel in his youth talking to his dad there, like it's a setup and payoff again, because we'll talk about the scene on the porch, but man, it's like this is something that Joel's going to remember, and obviously we see it. He does still remember that conversation he had with his dad. It's like maybe now that, like I said, now that he's in the hot seat, he probably really truly gets it now, like what his dad was trying to tell him.
Also, cameo
Easter egg by his watch, if anyone noticed that.
Overly telegraphed, like hand on the shoulder, like, hey, you see it, that thing? I'm like, okay, I get it. Like,
again, lore that I didn't know I needed, but oh cool, that was his dad's watch. Which
this watch has got like the craziest goddamn character arc I've ever seen for an inanimate object.
I'm here to tell you, oh my god, because I thought about it with the first game. I'm like, we never really see that it was like Sarah didn't just like buy him a watch. I was like, remember, she says she kept complaining. Yeah, she's like, you kept complaining about your broken watch, so I fixed it for you. Like, what do you think? And I was like, oh, well, I didn't need to know that, but I know it now. I guess that's kind of cool. It was his dad's watch he gave to him, and he's carried that through. The loss of your daughter in 25 years actually of an apocalypse. So damn, dude. I need to know what that watch is. Honestly, I need to. This one has lasted me pretty damn well. It's also broke, kind of. The face is a little bit broken. So, but yeah, it's seen some stuff. Yeah, no, cool scene, man. It gives you more context into Joel's character.
Yeah, it's for one, for those of you who are watching Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus over the course of the last month or so, that's actually Tony Dalton, who plays the Sword Master, who is not a very big part of the season. He apparently is going to be a bigger part of Daredevil moving forward, but he is one of the vigilantes called the Swordsman. I think it was a Swordsman, what he was officially called, and he is also one of the people that Fisk is holding in his little prison underground at the end of the show, at the end of the season. But Tony Dalton did a great job. It was an amazingly shot scene. I did notice the watch. I was just like, wow, which makes it even more kind of annoying to me, because when Ellie, after Joel dies in episode 3, Ellie goes back in the house. She opens that box. She sees his watch. She sees whatever that cloth was. I don't know what it was. She kind of pushes that all aside and goes right for the gun, which I was like, Ellie, be a little more,
yes.
Be a little more aware than that, because I would imagine that he explained to her the significance of the watch to him at some point. But she goes right for the gun, which I think kind of makes sense, because her whole existence from that point on, after Joel is killed, from that point on, is about revenge. So I can see why she would be blinded to what the watch means in the moment. I am curious as to when this series does come to an end, if she tries wearing that watch, or if it becomes a piece of importance to her, or are we just gonna forget that the watch exists now? Because I feel like the watch itself has become kind of a background character of sorts.
Yeah,
the way that like some objects tend to.
I think it might come back, because like I said, that scene doesn't actually happen until the very end of the game, when she goes, I won't try to spoil it, but goes through the house and she sees the box on the bed. The box has the same things. It has Joel's watch and his gun. And in that moment, I'm kind of like, so now I'm thinking, I wonder if, like, again, symbolically, I wonder if that'll come back. Because like you said, on her mind right now is I just lost him, so now my thought is I'm gonna grab this gun, I'm gonna kill Abby with it. So maybe I was like, wait, maybe if you run that back again and show it again at the end, but maybe instead she pulls out the watch and then like puts it on or pockets it or something. Like that'd be a great way to show that growth she's had over the course of the whole show.
Yeah, but
callback.
But maybe
Also,
maybe they'll deviate from the game again and what she decides to do with the watch at the end. I mean, me not being aware of what she does with it in the game, I'm sure know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah,
but I wonder if they're going to deviate from the game when this thing does kind of play itself out to its finale, and she either dons the watch herself and goes on about her life in this whatever the world's going to be, or if she just puts it up somewhere, as I keep saying. I don't really know, but what were you saying? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I did not know who that actor was. I for some reason thought it was Stephen Ogg at first, the guy for the video game nerds. He plays Trevor in GTA 5, but also he was in that little indie show called The Walking Dead as Negan's right hand guy. I thought it was him. I was like, that's a funny character development. And then I was like, I mean, you kind of look like Billy Bob Thornton now. If I tilt my head to the side, I couldn't figure out who this guy was, and I was just like, I'm gonna stop. I don't care. This is a pretty important scene, I'm sure. Him having this moment with his son. So
it would have been. I was actually just thinking it would have been interesting because when during the flashback when he goes into the bar and talks to Seth, and Seth calls him the new guy, him and Seth are talking, and Seth's like, "I used to be a police officer in Milwaukee." Mm-hmm. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, wouldn't it have been kind of funny if he just said Detroit? Because, he did play RoboCop after Peter Weller left the role in the third movie. So that would have been a really fun joke. That would have been a fun inside little jab at the people who watch far too many movies like I do. But that would have been fun. But yeah, but I have seen some people break down, kind of mention this, like, oh, he said he was a cop and he did play RoboCop at one point. So whatever. I was like, if you just said I used to be a cop in Detroit, that'd have been a fun little Easter egg. Mm-hmm. But I do want to let you kind of go on about this because again, this episode does deviate more so than any other one from the game as far as where things happen in the story, how some things play out. What was the biggest difference for you, and do you think it helped the way this episode played out, or otherwise?
Well, first of all, yeah, there was no flashback with his dad, so I mean, okay, that was cool. Obviously.
Well, and Neil Druckmann even talked about why they put that in there, about how Craig Mazin had the idea, and he was like, "Holy shit, why didn't I think of that for the game?" But that's why he put it in there, because he had thought that would be a fantastic scene to have.
Yeah, because again, the setup and payoff comes with that scene on the porch. And the whole thing with Gail's husband. I know that's a catalyst to like what's to come. I'm trying to remember where in the hell. Forgive me, I only played the game once, but I'm trying to remember where they had that conversation. For one thing, Joel and Ellie about the. Oh no! I got it. It came back to my head. They were actually out. So I remember her like having that sink in. I think they were still out somewhere, and it was again pretty recent to like where you open up on the game. And she finds that out. It plays out the same way, but I think it was nice that it happened when it did, right after the party, because like you think that we just see her leave, right, and just she sees Joel on the porch, and she goes back to the garage, or the carriage house for that deep cut joke. Frank gets it. He's laughing. Back to the carriage house. But then obviously you see the difference. You see the scene play out more, and she actually comes to have a conversation with him. There's that. Also, I'm trying to remember if there was any other like that time, the time jumps of like having her birthday, like her 15th or 16th, 17th. I don't think they ever show or like really explain the tattoo. So, I mean, that was actually kind of nice. And we finally get to see What's Her Nuts again, where they're like, she was the first one. Parker, she's the only other one. It's like, funny.
I was thinking she looked so much older when we saw her early in the season. I remember thinking she looked like she was
Yeah.
in her 30s when she was all bundled up on the back of the horse, and was kind of thinking to myself, was Ellie kicking it with some older woman? And she looks a lot younger when she shows up in this episode. I was like, okay, now she looks like she's probably around Ellie's age, maybe a shade older. But I was like, she looked like she was crazy old on the back of that horse earlier in the season.
The apocalypse adds 10 years, probably. Especially when
you probably age rapidly in that kind of environment, I'm sure.
Yeah, like I said, and I've said this so many times in terms of apocalypses, and I know people have made so many jokes about this. I'm like, this one in particular, no, I would not want to deal with or live through. Good God. Yeah, there's that. There's kind of the backstory of the tattoo, which was kind of cool. Because again, it's the seeing Joel navigate this fatherhood of a teenage daughter. Again, albeit in an apocalypse. And the birthday scene, there was more to it, but again, the only real important part was the space capsule and her getting the cassette tape from Joel. Minor nitpick, because obviously the damn dinosaur. I was like, for one thing, that was inside, and she put a hat on it because it was goofy. But no, she just climbed it obviously I know it's like Joel says like, just be a kid, I'm like, and she does kid things, and he's like, stop, don't you fall off, you fall off there, don't you come crying to me. I'm like, I get it, I get the dynamic. The dinosaur was inside. It was like they went on a whole thing of this museum. I think the planetarium thing was there, if I remember correctly. That was the same. That was cool.
I remember Craig Mason saying in the after show that they had actually completely rebuilt that from the game. That they had built that from scratch to look as close to the in game as it could for that scene.
Because I was gonna say that whole, which I know if we're gonna talk about that scene, like that whole thing was just again where they do shot for shot, they rip something right out of the game, and I was like, that was it, and you guys nailed it. It's done that same way where I love that shot. I know we'll talk about it. That shot of when she finally puts in the earbuds, and then it's like you're actually seeing the chair rumble. You can see the sky going past her. You can hear the engines. Then you see the darkness of space just come over her. It's like, that's such a cool moment visually, because that is what happens. Like you just see her put in the earbuds and just get lost in the moment. Like, man, that's a cool fucking birthday. And a dinosaur got to wear a hat.
Yeah,
kind of in the game.
For all the crazy differences from the game that I've heard about in this episode, I think it's interesting that the two scenes that they like shot for shot, beat for beat, almost dialogue for dialogue. They altered a few small words, but I don't think it's significant. It's like the scene in the spacecraft for her little dream sequence, and the port scene, which we're going to talk about here in a second.
The conversation.
Yeah. I've watched the side-by-side comparisons a couple times over the course of the last 24 hours or so, and I'm like, wow, it hits the same emotional level. It's one of those things where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And those scenes were put together so well in the game. It was like, why try to rewrite perfection? Why try to say, oh, we're going to change this to make it better? No, it's great. It still works. It's great the way it is. There's a simplicity, especially to the port scene, that I thought was just like, Jesus, that's sometimes the scene just happens and you just got to sit back and say, that's it. We got it. There's no improving on
send it to the post.
Yeah, no doubt. It's just sometimes you really hit the nail on the head and get it right, and you just let it go.
If you're trying to portray like 5 years of like this emotion that both of them have probably been struggling with and it's built up, dear Lord,
you let that shit out, and that's kind of what you get.
Like coming from both of their perspectives. God damn. Like I said, I know what's coming. I know but it still got me. You know what I mean? It's like that's how you know you did it right. Like you said, you just let it happen, and you just feel it. And I was like, God damn. I'm like, I know it happens, but fucking hell, it still hurts.
Shit, I didn't know how I was gonna get through episode 1 of season 1. I'm like, well, I know Sarah dies, and the first time I played this game, I actually cried. I'm sitting there just holding the controller in my hand that cuts to black, and then starts the the credits and the news reels in the background. And then it says like 20 years later, it says The Last of Us, and I was like, still like, just watch this little girl die right in front of me. Oh my! I'm like, this is how this is gonna be. Holy shit! You took a haymaker punch right to my emotions, and I was like, Jesus. Whew. Can hit pause and take a minute on that one. Take a laugh around the block or do something to let it out. Jesus.
Yeah, let's. I don't think we can avoid talking about it anymore. It's. I swear, as I was watching this Sunday night, I had to rewind and watch the scene like 3 times. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it took that much to really process the dialogue, the moment that the scene
There's
represents.
that tension. Yeah.
You know what? It wasn't tension as much as it was emotion. Because, like I said, I've operated under the I would say correct assumption now that we've seen this episode that they had this conversation already. And obviously, because Joel had died, they weren't going to have it after he died. But it's like,
yeah, so that's part of you realize this happened like right before.
That a big part of why there was a lot of tension and anger between them is because she had found out. And the question was how did that conversation go? How did they both react to it? How did Ellie react to it? How did Joel react to it? I mean, because this was going to be one of those things where you couldn't just say, I didn't think it could happen in one of those moments where they're arguing and he says, oh, yeah, well, I killed the fireflies. Now what? That would have been a proper way of displaying it. It had to be something more than that because of what these two had become to one another. I like I said, I had to rewind this and watch it 3 times because I was just like, wow, there was so much here in so little. They have these things in comic books called the 3-color panel or something like that, where they only use 3 colors to paint to color in the entire comic book. And I was just like, that kind of simplicity exists in this scene right here, because Joel says so little throughout the course of the scene, but says so much. It's staggering. This, to me, is the best scene in this series so far, and not by a little. I mean, by a lot. By a lot.
That's an important conversation.
Yeah, Jeremy, as somebody who's played the game, as somebody who's watched this series from episode 1 to now with me and some other people, what do you think of finally getting to this point where so much is explained to us as a viewer and to Ellie?
Yeah, because it's the thing. Like I said, that's what made the first game so compelling. Is the end of that. You know, we know what happened, and then what he told her at the end, and that's where you're left. You're like, damn, are you really? You know, that's it. And then when you hear there's a second game, I still sat there. That's still the thing that lingers on my mind. It's like, are we gonna like talk about this? Are we gonna have this conversation? Because it does, you know, it says, 5 years later. I'm like, oh, okay, so now wow, shit. Okay, so we're still living in Jackson. There's been a decent time jump, but that's still, again, the all important conversation that you're wondering, like, did they ever talk about that? You still, you know, that's what it lingers on. And that, like we're saying, that has to be a very poignant moment for not just the show, for the game, but these two characters. And like you said, it isn't just like a shouting match. It's just a, you know, they're gonna be like as mature, I guess, as they're having this mature conversation, just back and forth and just being honest. You know, or at least Joel is. He's just being honest with her. And yeah, because so you haven't had time to talk about that, and you know that shit has just been eating away at both of them, probably Joel especially. And then for Ellie to hear something like that, and that's why I love that line. The line that always stuck out to me in both is how much that hits. And she says, like, well, my life could have fucking meant something, and you took that away from me. But again, it still has the conversation of, I'm like, well, would you have known? Or would you? I mean, the other part is like, I don't think the Fireflies gave you a say in it, which kind of sucks. Like, I don't think she knew what was actually going to happen. So I don't know how you weigh that out. And the only other thing about the conversation, though, is when she asked Joel, could they have found a cure? And he says yes. I'm like, no, well, hold on, dude. You don't actually know that. I noticed that too. I was like, was he certain about that? Because I think that's one of the things that's always been out like
there.
The Fireflies weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you can maybe give her an I don't know, man. Like that still hits. I'm like, you don't have to answer yes. Like, you know, no. Like, were there raiders? No. Like, did this happen? No. Were they going to find a cure? Yes. I'm like,
gonna press X to doubt on that one, Joel. I don't think anyone actually knows the answer to that question. And I guess the point still is like, no one will ever really know now, right? Because they're all dead. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just have an issue with that. Just him flat out saying like, yes. I'm like, no, you didn't know that.
I also found it very odd over the course of this entire series. They're like, this is the only doctor left on the planet. I'm like, I'm sure there's probably one or two left. Whether they're affiliated with Fireflies or not, I'm sure you could, because Ellie herself being very, very young, I'm sure somebody with any medical knowledge at all could, maybe not as efficiently as somebody who's into this specific kind of medical stuff, but somebody could maybe try to work this thing out. Because books still exist. You can still read about shit. So, whatever.
Well, yeah, and I've had time to look back, and other people have broken this down, where you're like, where you can make yourself kind of justify it a little more is like, the Fireflies are kind of stupid. Like, seriously, like you said, you had one guy you put all your eggs in the basket with, no one else to help him, no second doctor, no writing this down, put it in confidence to someone else if something should happen, like, Marlene even said, the one person I would never want to piss off is Joel. And I'm like, you had to have known that. The second you sent her with him, that you knew that. Because you thought, like, you had to know this was not going to. And then I'm like, right, I'm just going to tell Joel, we're going to talk about it and work it out. Like, no, the fuck, you were going to die.
And on top of that, I assume, I don't know that they ever actually had this direct conversation in season 1, but I assume that Marlene knows about Joel's history with his daughter Sarah and everything that happened when the outbreak happened. So assuming that she knows that he's got this complex, when you put a teenage girl about the age of the daughter that he lost in his care, that there is an opportunity there that the dad in him is going to come out again, and so emotions are going to open up, and he might get attached to the girl.
And then he's surprised when he killed all of you. Like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I don't know. But then again, I mean, if you're in the middle of a cordyceps zombie apocalypse, maybe you're going to take some chances you wouldn't normally take. So I guess I just kind of write that.
It helps justify Joel's actions a little more if you're in that camp, which I kind of am. And again, like, yes, I know they probably had I mean, I don't know if they really expected Joel to just actually one-man Rambo his way through all of them, to be fair. But however, that was really all you had. I'm like, I don't think the Fireflies really had much of a leg to stand on. And again, you're not going to go in there and reason with him, like you said.
Well, and the reality is, I mean, if you just look at it objectively, all these different factions, they're all kind of morons. It's like Fedra, Fireflies, WLF, these whistling people, the Seraphites. It's like all of them are kind of like blowing past the obvious conclusion of maybe if we just all work together, we could at least kind of start civilization again.
But that is the human nature of like we all live on the same rock, nature. That'll never happen. I know.
But when shit hits the fan and the cordyceps start taking over, everybody's going to turn into an asshole and an idiot.
It'll revert back to that. You want to believe that we all got to pull together, like good old Officer Friendly said in season 1 of Walking Dead. We survive by pulling together, not apart. Like right, but then we're gonna, Rick. It's like high school. The cliques are all gonna. We're all gonna. We can meet up again in 10 years' time, and we're all still gonna sit at the same damn tables. That is an actual experience I had a few years ago. I'm like, oh yeah, we're all sitting in the same tables, aren't we? That's wild. Nothing ever changes,
Yeah, we're all tribal. I think it's kind of working in the DNA.
That's the main.
Yeah. But yeah, this scene. I mean,
Jesus Christ!
Like Joe says so much when he nods his head, without a word. She's like, would it have worked? And he nods his head, and the tears. And I was like, wow, that is. It was so much better than I could have done it. I might have had maybe a little bit of aggression come out, which I guess kind of does from Ellie. But I mean, I might have had some on Joel's part as well when he's trying to defend himself, saying, I needed to save you. I had to save you. That was I could not let you die. And you can totally understand
because it comes from a place of love. That's when he hits her with like, because I love you, like more than you can even understand. I was like, God damn.
And you know what? And that's where I realized how wrong I was when I was like, I would have given Joel some aggression. I think when he very calmly, very emotionally, and speaking as a father, not as a guy who has been through the shit that he's been through, but speaking as a father, he was just like, he's like, I did it because I love you. And I don't think that Ellie really gets this because Ellie's never felt that she's never had a parent. I mean, her mom obviously dies the day that she was born.
Rest in peace, Ashley Johnson.
Yeah, rest in peace, Ashley Johnson. She never. I don't think it's ever mentioned her dad. At least not in the series anyway. I'm sure probably in the game. I don't think there's any room for it either. So I mean, she's never had a dad. This is the closest she's had to a parent. So she's still trying to figure out this whole thing too. So
she was raised by like the military, basically.
Yeah, and so she doesn't understand where he's coming from. Whereas, like I said, in the world that we exist in, our kids might get it because they've talked to their parents and stuff like that, but she doesn't get it. She doesn't have that. She doesn't have that frame of reference to go on. And I think that he does a very good job in the moment of saying, I did it because I love you. And I think the reason why she doesn't understand that is because she's never had it. But I think she does get it at some point late in the conversation, which is why she hits with that line.
I was gonna say, she said, I don't know if I can
forgive you, but I want to try.
I would like to
and
try.
I was like, that's the Ellie that I want. That's the intelligent Ellie that understands the situation and is seeing the shit that is right in front of her and is feeding off Joel's experience and everything that he's trying to tell her. Like that's the Ellie that I want, the one that would make all the right decisions. But at the same time, it makes it that much more tragic because this is the next day that Joel gets whacked and she never has a chance to try.
That's the point. That's what I'm saying. I was like, when I saw this was going to be the flashback and I saw the space capsule, I was like, oh no. I was like, it's going to get put in context and you're all going to realize they had that conversation. And like you said, that is a one hell of a thing she does. The same thing she tells him is, I don't know if I can forgive you, but I would like to try. And I'm like, son of a bitch. And he fucking dies like the next day, if that, like. And the thing is,
because that was New Year's after the event of the New Year's Eve party,
and she had to sit there and watch that. Like, that fucking sucks. Like, that's why I've seen people say that, you know, when you talk about some video game characters or just fictional characters in general, like, who's probably gone through like the maybe not the worst, but like some of the like the most amount of trauma. I'm like, fucking Ellie's a pretty good contender for that because, good lord, man. Having to have those 2 days back to back, Jesus.
But yeah,
and Joel, because like he's sitting there like at the end of it, you know, he probably knows like, yeah, I'm not getting out of this, and he's probably running that whole conversation back in his head too. Like, shit, this might actually, you know, this might be it.
I do think that I mean if I were Joel in those final moments at the chateau with Abby and her crew doing what they were doing, I might feel at least a little bit of relief that I at least said that to Ellie one time. And I also think it was wonderful that he looks at her and goes, if I had to do it all over again, I would do the exact same thing. I would save you. I would save you because of what you mean to me. To hell with the rest of the world. You are my world. So saving you, I did save the world. I saved my world. And I think that's one of the things that she understood as he was saying that. That's why she's like, I don't know that I can forgive you, but I want to try. Because I think we've all been there at some point. It's like somebody wrongs us in a way that hurts us very badly. And I've always been taught, forgive but never forget. It's like you forgive for yourself, but you never forget also for yourself because you don't
forget it happened. Yeah, but
because if you forget, that's when you're really screwing up. What's up, Kratos? He says, "Have you guys reviewed Sinners yet?" Yes, we did. You'll have to go back and look to our catalog. Did it a couple weeks ago. He said he took his mother to see his late Mother's Day gift. They both enjoyed it. It's a solid 9 out of 10. I think it's a good movie as well.
Very good movie.
Very good movie. 2 different movies. I would have liked a bit more vampire stuff, but it worked at a couple different levels. It was a great period piece as well.
1930s from dusk till dawn. So whatever. I liked it.
He says, this show has been okay in my eyes, but the game it portrays is still a massive shiner of a black eye in the gaming industry. I don't know. Is it a Jeremy the gamer? He can speak to that more than me for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I said that about the second game because it narratively is different. And 2 different mediums of, say video games as opposed to watching something. When you're playing, you're interacting, right? You're more so in control. You're in the story. You're kind of following whatever's playing out. With a show, I'm like, you don't really have you're just seeing what's being portrayed. You're not really a participant in it. So it's a little different. So like when I finished the second game, I kind of thought, you know, I don't know if the first season had been announced yet, but I said, like, if this was a show, I'm like, there's some things I would have moved around and narratively done different. But I was like, I feel like this can work, but I'm like, I don't know if it works as a video game. I was like, I feel like this could work better as a show. And sure enough, here we are now. And I'm like, yeah, no, this works. This plays out. There's, I guess there's still a lot of hate, even after seeing the whole thing play out for Abby. And I was like, that's why I'm not mad that everyone's like, oh, they already blew Abby's whole wad in the first scene. I'm like, yeah, but like, that's kind of the point. Like, you're meant to understand, like, oh, she's coming from this place. This is why you understand what she's doing. In the game, like I said, you have no context. You have no context to who this person is. You don't know who is this person? Who are these other people? What are they doing here? Why are they in this cabin? Oh shit, you're gonna get attacked by zombies. Oh god, you're getting like crushed by the fence. Here comes some infected. A hand pops out. Oh good, it's a friendly hand. You're like, oh good, it's Joel. Yay. And here comes a golf swing. I'm like, so you're serious. That thing does golf swing on your emotions because you're like, whoa, hey, whoa. What the fuck? Who are you? You know what I mean? It makes this deep. And I think they tried to then not redeem it, but try to justify it in the back half of that game, which I'm assuming is what we're going to do for season 3, sorry. But again, I think that might again be better explored in the show than maybe in the game, because I'm like, there was no, like, you don't just get to come out of absolutely nowhere and then just whack a character that we've been following and known for this whole time. I get it. It's the whole Negan thing. If we'd followed Negan from the beginning, Rick is definitely a fucking bad guy. And again, vice versa. But there, just for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people, there was no digging back out of that hole. I'm like, there is an absolute, like, rancid hatred for Abby. And I'm like, well, I think you golf swung a little too fucking hard was the problem. Literally and figuratively. So I'm like, if you were going to try to then make me empathize with her, I'm like, I don't really think you did it. Because again, remember, I've said it and I'll keep saying it. Fuck Abby's dog. I don't care that her dog died. I'm glad I put a 12 gauge down his mouth. Don't come at me, Fido. Like, that's what happens. Okay. I'm sorry. To make me hate someone's dog in any medium is a hell of a achievement. But I'm saying this will actually make more sense in the show. I think it'll hit different.
Yeah, Texas chiming in says, so the ungrateful little potato can't get past Joel saving her. That's kind of funny, the potato thing. It's mean and funny all at the same time. And the more y'all talk about this show, it sounds like it should be on the Lifetime Network. No, because there's character work. Not everything can be boobs and murder. Sometimes you want to dig into the character. Don't you like later on in the Texas Chainsaw movies how they kind of dig into the background of Leatherface a little bit? You get to know him better and you get to love him more. That way that you'd realize that mask made of skin is not just a mask made of skin. It's who he is. It's his inner soul. Okay, that's a little. But he does swing a chainsaw and kills people. So he does. He especially the dance at the end of the first movie is still one of my favorite things. I need to get that clip so I can have it on here for whatever reason I need it for. No, no, Kratos. It's not sad that you remember the Lifetime Movie Network. I always assumed it was still on, even though I don't watch it much.
I think it is, isn't it?
I don't know. Kratos also says that Abby for the show is scrawny to me compared to the game. I think that's a bad comparison though, because
it is a pretty obvious elephant in the room though. I'm like, yeah, Abby's like a freaking Olympic bodybuilder for some reason. I was like, I know in the apocalypse, yeah, you're probably doing harder, more manual work, but I was like, but good Lord, Abby, where'd you find these steroids? Because you've got to explain some shit here. Somebody have her pee in a cup right now.
Like, and on top of that, video games are known for giving people, even the people they make look kind of normal, kind of over the top tone and features. So it's like, so Abby might be a little ripped in the game. I've said it before. I don't think that if you're in the middle of a cordyceps zombie apocalypse, you're going to find a lot of time to get to the gym and do some cardio. You know what I mean? It's like
she's also in a military, so I don't know if maybe that's just a workout routine or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, whatever. It's like we spent the first part of episode 1 watching watching Ellie kick the shit out of some guy who was 3 feet.
I was
taller,
about to
had her
say
by
that. I'm
100
like,
pounds. I'm like, but everybody's okay with that, with Ellie being scrawny and being able to kick some grown man's ass.
Like Ellie's always been scrawny. I was like, I know, like you're gonna complain the same argument. You're like, well, how the hell is she gonna take out someone who's twice her size? And then now you're mad that now she's so scrawny. I'm like, what do you want? Like, you're not gonna be happy with it. I don't care. I think they're on a more level playing field. I think honestly, if these two characters in this show were to start fist fighting, I'm like, I feel like it'd be a little more even. They're both pretty just hot headed and just they're kind of just abrasive with how they approach things. Like I don't think Abby thought past the whole, hey, I'm gonna kill Joel. Goodbye. Like, yeah, I don't think she thought past that. So
yeah, I can tell you right now, I have known several women over the course of my life that are probably, 1.5 feet shorter than me, and I outweigh them by a lot, and I would not want to fight them. I would not want to fight them. They are scrappy. They are terrifying. Yes, I'm related to a few of them actually. They're not to be fucked with. So size is one thing. I mean, sure, maybe you're less likely to take on a guy in a one-on-one fight, but it's like you got to remember, Abby and Ellie in the series anyway have trained. When we saw Ellie train,
like I said, the point was that they at least know how to fight.
Abby basically came up the same way as Ellie. She came up in the Firefly, so they've been teaching her to kind of be a bit of a badass her whole life. So it's not outside their own possibility. I also don't like the fact, and I'll say I don't know. I almost mentioned this the last time I didn't because I think it's stupid. There's this online thing to replace the girl that plays Ellie. Bella Ramsey. Yeah, Bella Ramsey. You know what? Go to hell.
Let it go.
Look, I get so tired of people and they're stupid, uneducated.
I was gonna say it. I'm like, look, I think the people that are just like they're just vehemently hating on the show to hate on it because like, LOL, it's popular.
That's the problem with fandom.
Well, yeah, and I'm like, but the problem is they're all like the trust me bros. I'm like, you're just like, it's stupid. It's just dumb. It's dumb. It's just stupid because it's stupid. It's so goddamn stupid. I'm like, you're not explaining why.
Well, these idiots all want. Yeah, these idiots all want like 1993 Pamela Anderson to play every female role in every movie. And I'm like, I kind of get it. I mean, some movies you want the girl with the bosoms and the nice ass. Sometimes that kind of thing matters for a character, but when you're talking about the zombie apocalypse, I mean, Tess is a badass. And she's not particularly hot in this show. It's like, but look what she's been through. I mean, the girl that played Tess, it was a very attractive woman. But Tess, the character, she's been through some shit. She's not going to be. Her beach bod is not going to be there.
No one's wearing makeup in the apocalypse. Yeah. Oh my god, they didn't actually show something that they showed from the game, which I really keep hoping they do. But we've already passed the scene that I know everyone's going to get all up in arms about. And speaking of arms, it was because Ellie and Dina find that little place that has all the weed. That's a little deviation from the game. It's not Ellie and Jesse that find it, or Jesse knew about it, but Ellie and Dina find it, and they're just down in the basement, just having a fucking smoke, and they're just sitting there in their tank tops, and she's got her arms behind her head, and oh my god, everybody clutch your pearls. They've got underarm hair. I'm like, right, because nobody's fucking shaving. Nobody's got time for that. And everyone loses their fucking minds. They're like, I'm like, do you realize what's going on? It was an apocalypse.
Yeah, this is
we're all in arms because a girl had underarm hair. I'm like, get the fuck.
This is what directors and like costume artists and stuff, they go over these details like very closely as they're putting a show or a movie together. What would this obscure thing in the background look like that 99% of people are not going to see unless it's not right? If it's wrong, it's going to get picked on by people like us.
Did you know that the hole on Joel's watch was actually over on like the 10, not the 45? You know, like, come on.
Yes, that's just whatever.
It doesn't matter, guys. Now, like I said, I was like, does she look like Ellie from the game? No, but I was like, but the point is, she acts like Ellie. I was like, whatever. I don't care. She acts like Ellie. That's the point.
Yeah, I just people bitch about the dumbest things just because they want to be online.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I think everyone's just jumping on this bandwagon of like, LOL, isn't The Last of Us stupid? How is it stupid? That's just because it's stupid.
Well, this is one of the reasons why I think this is one of the reasons why IMDb shut down their message boards, which I think is probably the smartest thing the website's ever done. Because I've been using IMDb for various things for years and years and years, going back a long time, way before I was doing YouTube stuff, and I would go to those message boards just to look for stuff. You maybe look for spoilers, look for different opinions on things, different movies from a long time ago or from upcoming movies. And there were so many people on there that just say the dumbest shit. And I'm like,
okay.
None of this matters. You just want to be like, smash buttons on my keyboard and be stupid. That's exactly what.
Look at me. I agree with everybody. Okay, good for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody says this thing, and I say this thing too. Okay, so you're not original. You're just a follower. Congratulations.
Thanks for all the clicks. Okay, well, wouldn't it be more controversial to be doing what we're doing, where we say that we actually enjoy this? Because apparently we're in the fucking minority.
Yeah, let's move on and stop talking about stupid people. Let's talk for now about only one episode left in this season, episode 7. Obviously, it's not going to be anything very final. I still have a feeling it's going to end on, if not a cliffhanger, certainly an ending that will not feel very complete. I don't know how else to say it other than cliffhanger. Although I think cliffhanger maybe a bit strong, but I don't think it's going to end in a normal way that a season of a television show might end. Jeremy, I don't know where we're at in the game. Halfway? Are we 3/4 of the way through? I don't really know. I think it's kind of skewed by the fact that they're kind of doing things a little bit out of order compared to what we got up in the game. But what do you think we're going to see in episode 7? How do you think they're going to leave us wanting more, wanting season 3 to come along?
If I could just say something, but I mean, I don't want to spoil something for anybody. I'm assuming we're about halfway, and this third season is going to be. They do tend to follow the game, so I'm assuming we're going to see a little bit more from Abby's perspective in the third season. I keep wanting to say second season. Damn it, season 2, part 2. I don't know. I ended with her going back to, we're in the present time, and she's going back to the I almost said the museum, the theater. Ellie trudging back through the rain to the theater, and if it's kind of the same way in the game, I was like, I feel like she's about to walk in there and things are not going to be how they left it. I'm thinking we might get a surprise visit from Abby. Something that'd be a hell of a, like, hey, come back and you're here. Because remember, they did alert those wolves that were right outside the building. Like, they know something happened and someone was over there that should not have been. So I'm assuming they're investigating it. And I mean, in all of Seattle, somehow it was Abby, right? But I mean, weirder coincidences have happened. Somehow she did find him after 5 years being. I mean, how many states away? That's Seattle. And you're talking there in like what, Wyoming or something? Like,
and essentially trips and falls on him as well, which I find that kind of annoying, but whatever. I feel like she should have worked a little harder for it than that, considering how how much of a hard on she had for him.
Even after 5 years, I mean, honestly,
it was super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Yeah,
I got you.
Whatever, the story has to happen.
I think because again, it's a finale right to this season. I won't say who, but I'm pretty sure if we're gonna follow something here, somebody's dying. I think we're having a character death. It's gonna explode, and like I said, some shit's gonna go off in that theater, and I think cliffhanger might be a good way to describe it because it does just kind of abruptly stop. There's gonna be a tussle here in this theater because again, these wolves are probably gonna figure it out. Like they might mosey on over there, but I think that's where we're gonna go, and we're gonna end on. You're like, come on, what happened? Because that happens in the game. It just cuts to black, and it's like, all right,
Let's rewind a whole week and
see what good old Abby's up to. I'm like, wow, I wish I cared. There's my famous line. I wish I cared. Like, because I didn't for the next like 5-6 hours. I had to fucking be with Abby, but we did see the Rat King. So come on, season 3, give me the Rat King, please.
Yeah, I think Callum Moscript agrees with you in the chat. He says the end of the theater with Abby leaving Dina and Ellie on the floor. So there's going to be a lot of action in this last episode. That's kind of what I figure. Because,
in the words of Nick Frost, it's about to go off.
Yeah. Callum Moscript is saying, something that, spoiler alert, for those of you who have never played the game, I kind of knew this already. Probably going to be something like Jesse. We'll probably see Jesse. I know that the other person he's there with is going to get shot at some point. How seriously he is shot, I do not know.
Tommy.
But Tommy, yes, of course. But yeah, I think it's gonna be like an Empire Strikes Back kind of ending. Like it's gonna be an ending, but it's gonna leave Ellie in not a great place, either emotionally, physically. She might be in a really. I could actually, and I don't know if this happens in the game or not, so I could be very wrong. I think it may even see her going back to Jackson to try to gather herself again, and then maybe go after Abby again, or maybe she's just like, the hell that I'm already out here, I'm just gonna go throw hands with Abby now. And that's kind of I still do think that a lot of season 3 is going to be about Abby. We're probably not going to see a whole lot of Ellie the first couple of episodes. It's going to be a lot of Abby.
You'll see her at the end, I'm sure.
Journey. And then we're going to get Ellie, and then it's going to be both of them kind of going towards one another, and then the final confrontation, and however that will resolve itself. Let's see. Callum Moscript says episode 7 will be 45 minutes. 45 minutes of action. It could. It could. I mean, they're due for that kind of a show, for that kind of an episode too. So
that's what I'm saying. I think that this would be the time to do it.
Yeah. Sure. So Tech says, serious question: if everybody hates the second game so much, why in the hell would you throw good money at something? How people are going to respond. I don't think it's that people
make
hate
it different.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, for one, it's not going to be even though it has been mostly a direct adaptation, you can alter some things if you're changing it from the video game form to the television. Also, to hell with what those people like, because fandom is toxic. I
hated the second game.
Fandom is toxic. Look here, and Tex, I'll put it in the terms that I think we and you have talked about before. There's a reason why they don't let fans be general managers of professional sports teams, because fans are retarded. I'm just going to say it straight out. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at one of my favorite teams and be like, why did they sign this guy? Why did they release this guy? Blah, blah, blah. And then
like I said, I was like, I would have done it this way. I would have told this part here. I was like, I would say this is my opinion of how you should have done it. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's why. Because, look, fans may think they know better. The reality is 99% of fans are just dumb.
I didn't completely change. I was like, no, tell the same story, but I was like, in a different way. I was like, this could still have worked, but just switch it up. I didn't say switch it completely.
And, I even said earlier that I would have done something different on the scene on the porch, but I'm glad they didn't do it that way, because the way they did it, it hits so much harder. I wouldn't have thought to do it like that. You know why? Because I am part of fandom, even though I hate it, and I am an idiot. I would have made that scene lesser if I'd have done it the way that I would have envisioned it in my head. It may have still been good, but would it have been as good as what we ended up getting in this episode? Probably not. I mean, most certainly not. I like the scene they gave me way better than the one that I had envisioned in my head, because I'm an objective person. I can look at it and say, okay, I was wrong. My idea was not a good one there. I'm glad they did this. And it's like I said, I can't tell you how many times I've looked at my sports team and been like, why did they sign this guy? Why did they start this guy in this game? And then my team ends up winning, and I'm like, well, maybe I would have fucked it all up if they had started this guy or signed this guy. Maybe I would have been wrong. So as long as there is success for the things that I like, I'm just happy at the end of the day. So yeah, and games more than anything else. I mean, like, Jeremy, we played Call of Duty. I mean, Call of Duty fans have been shitting on that game for like 10 years now. But
or longer than that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not only do they keep coming out with them, there's aspects of that game that are always very, very good. The campaigns in Call of Duty are always stellar. They've never missed a campaign.
Those are fun.
Now multiplayer, I mean, yeah, the games, you can pick
you and I are probably the 2 of the 10 people that actually play the campaign and are excited about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
to be fair.
Yeah, Casey, I'm not skipping over your comments. I'm skipping over stupid comments that don't have anything to do with the topic. That's the difference. That's the difference. We kind of expect you to pop in at some point during the review and be like, Frank is gay, man. we know you're going to do it. I just choose to focus on the things that have to do with the topic that I'm talking about right now. But, I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. I mean, I think even you, being so versed in the game, are kind of like, how are they going to end this? Is it going to end like the game? Because I do wonder. Now, I know that we're not going, like I said, we're not going to wait that long for season 3. I think they're talking about getting it into production pretty quickly. So, but I think even if they started filming it tomorrow, I don't know. We would probably still have a good 18 months between start filming and when episode 1 actually drops. They could decide they want to release Last of Us Part 3 for the video game. I'm pretty sure that if Neil Druckmann does that, he's also going to look at Craig Mazin and be like, here's my storyline, start writing some stuff for season 4 based on the 3rd game, and maybe he's got an ending for Ellie, maybe he's got an ending for all of humanity. Maybe we finally figure out a way to solve this cordyceps thing without having to chop Ellie's brain out and dice it up into sashimi. I don't know. Maybe he'll figure something else out.
You just don't want to undermine what Joel did, though.
Or maybe they're gonna find a way to end this on screen that is different and a little more satisfying than the end of the game. Maybe not. I don't know. Personally, I think if you've stuck with the game this close so far, you should probably just go ahead and stick with it all the way to the end. As much as I would like to see Abby get her head bashed in by Ellie just for the sake of revenge. It's like, spoiler alert, by the way. Yeah, spoiler alert. It's not what happens. I did put a new. I do have a new spoiler alert graphic. I was messing with it last night. I was just like, I don't know. I'll put it up here to see if I like it. Maybe I'll keep working on it. But I don't know. All I know is I'm along for the ride at this point.
Maybe this time next year, because you know what comes out in December is Fallout Season 2. And I'm not sure if you really, I don't think you're going to push it out that fast, but I was like, I don't think you want to try to compete with that at the same time. So I don't think I would say about this time next year would be a good guess, or sometime.
But maybe GTA 6 will get pushed back again, and we'll still get everything else before GTA 6, because that's just the joke right now.
I don't know the GTA 6 is ever going to come out, to be absolutely
honest. Never believe anything they say until you're holding the game in your hands and you go home and pop it in. They're whatever.
Unpopular opinion. You ready for this?
If you say GTA sucks, I'm gonna choke you right through the screen.
GTA sucks.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Why?
It's not that it sucks. It's the game has only maintained a usefulness because of mods.
Well, that's
what a lot of games like that.
No, GTA more than any other game by a lot, because I've seen people mod games that have been out for a while, and because I know one of the Call of Duty games was
I would argue The Sims is very similar in that aspect. It's been out for a long damn time, and what do people do anymore? You just mod the shit out of it.
What is the one Call of Duty? I actually had to stop playing it because it was just so modded out that every lobby I got into was a train wreck. One of the Call of Duty games several Call of Duties ago, but it's like I was playing it on PS2, so it was that long
Jesus.
Ago. But
okay,
but or was I playing on a PS3 still? I forget.
I was like, wait,
but it was a long time ago. But one of the Call of Duty games, I part of me was like, because I remember I hadn't played that particular game for a year, and I was playing on PS3. I'm pretty sure, but I had put it in. It was every lobby was modded to hell, and I couldn't do shit. I was like, no, I'm done.
Well,
I think I ended up throwing the game away.
There are cheaters. There are people that do stuff. It's like that was a staple of. I'm gonna put not an ad, but here you go. The crew that I run with, I'm like, that was one of the rules. Rule number 1, you don't mod, you don't cheat, do that on your own time. Just don't be doing it in the online. Don't be doing it when we're running stuff.
Now,
and we dealt with people like that all the time. Yeah, we could tell when I dump an entire drum mag of a fucking LMG into your skull and you didn't die. I'm like, okay, clearly.
Well, gameplay stuff was all on Call of Duty's end. I've never. One of the reasons I just really kind of stopped playing that game was because I'd shoot some guy 25 times while he was walking up to me with a knife and he cuts my throat and I die. I was just like, come on, guys.
People are obnoxious. Yes.
when you can easily win a gunfight with a knife, that's a problem. But
well, yes. Well, the other thing about GTA is I'm like, like we said with Call of Duty, I'm like, I play for the story. I'm like, I'm interested to see what this story is. I'm genuinely curious what this campaign is going to be like.
So maybe it's not fair to say that GTA sucks. It's just because I'm sure when the game was new, in the first year of its life cycle, that it was probably good. I only played it a few times. I've never been a fan of anything out of the world. But but since then, it's like people still like love the game, and they say the game's doing great. I'm like, well, you've modded the shit out of it. It's not its core game anymore. Like if you tear down all of a house except for like one stud, and then you build a new house around it, is it the same house? or
the ship
or
of
is it just a whole different house?
The ship of DCS or what? That damn, is it still the same ship? Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
No, it did. Excuse me. It did get overly ridiculous to a point where I remember the exact point I thought it was ridiculous is when you had a motorcycle that was just like, you're basically like a cartoon. You're strapped to a big like jet engine basically. And it like goes across the screen at like Mach fucking 5. And it has like laser targeting and all kinds of like that was, I'm like, that is so goddamn stupid because you can't aim at it because it's this fucking big and it zips by you so fast. And I was like, you can just cover it, but it doesn't even matter anymore. I'm like, it got to the point where some things that were released in it were really ridiculous. And I was like, okay, this isn't fun anymore. Because like you said, I'm like, well, then people are going to start doing stupid mods with it. And I mean, I don't know. It just makes it fun. If you do it on your own time and just to dick around and have fun, I mean, sure. Just don't be doing it with online people who are just trying to enjoy their missions, their cars, or they're just playing with their friends and whatnot. I don't know. That damn rocket bike, it just has pissed me off ever since. I got my flying DeLorean when it came out because I really wanted one because it's cool. I mean, come on.
A flying DeLorean,
drive anywhere.
Come on.
I do. I have a flying DeLorean, and I was like, that's the coolest damn thing ever. The bike thing kind of died down a little bit, but it was like when it first came out, yeah, it was obnoxious. But I just play it to play with friends, and I play with a pretty tight crew. The leader of the crew officiated my wedding, so I mean,
nice.
That's cool. That came out of GTA. Oh, you were there. You saw him. That man's the leader of that crew. Yeah. That man put a gun in my face and said, you play with us or you die. I'm like, oh, okay. No more free rides. Okay. I played for about 5 days. He's like, all right, no more free rides, man. You either join us or I'm going to shoot you in the face. I'm like, oh, okay. Sure.
But before we get out of here, there was a small trailer that dropped. Another trailer, actually, a more newer trailer for a movie that we're all chomping at the bit to talk about, especially Brooding Gamer over there on his channel. We did get another trailer for Jurassic World Rebirth. Wowzers. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on it. Brooding Gamer has a breakdown of the trailer over on his channel. Definitely go over and check out his thoughts. He's the dinosaur expert. But I mean, Jeremy, this is one of the things that one of the films we've all been looking forward to this year. What do you think of the crazy visuals that we got from this trailer?
I'm excited. We did a little twist on the meme from Star Wars, like they fly now. And I'm like, I see this big T-Rex. They swim now? And he's like, and Gamer's like, they swim now. I'm like, okay. Every dinosaur is just swimming through the water and nipping at people's heels. Oh,
well, man. That's what happens. You got to up the stakes. You got to make them more dangerous. I've talked with with Tex about this plenty of times. You get to this point where
at this point too.
You get and Jurassic Park I think is probably getting to this point, which is why part of me is kind of like, can we go ahead and end this thing now? Let's just let the dinosaurs live in film history. But you get to the point where you have to create
should have ended this like 4 movies ago. I'm like, what are we doing?
Something that's less dinosaur and more alien. Don't get me wrong. I like the fearful look of this thing. But we are getting into alien territory here. So part of me is just kind of like, can we just let
I understand the genetics doesn't just, here's our concept, it worked. No. Right in here, in that middle part where you failed to mention, I'm like, there is going to be some wonky shit like that. That shit does not just works day one. Like, no. So I imagine there is a lot of that gray area, especially with a shady company like NGen that has these like failed experiments that are just kind of shoved to the side on some other island. I'm like, okay, I believe it. And we think for some reason this one specific dinosaur or whatever is going to cure the world's cancer and whatever. I'm like, okay. Scarlett Johansson. Woohoo. I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer's good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm kind of interested to see what this movie's end up looking like at the end of the day.
I was kind of wondering why Blade was here.
We're Blade's nowhere. Blade's nowhere.
You didn't see him? You didn't see him in the beret?
He's nowhere. But
That's why we don't have
But,
Blade. He's stuck on some island with some mutated dinosaurs.
Yeah, Marshall Ali is going to make 3 more of these Jurassic Park movies before he makes a Blade movie.
We're never
But
gonna.
we're getting like don't get me wrong. I mean, like Brooding Gamer, I have really liked all the Jurassic Park / Jurassic World films for different reasons. They've been good. The first Jurassic Park movie, fantastic film. But we're very quickly getting to the point where we're going to start doing the whole dinosaurs in space thing, just because that's the one thing we haven't done in the Jurassic franchise has gone to space. So T-Rex in space.
Are you telling me a theme park on the moon wouldn't be awesome? Velociraptors in zero gravity, baby. Let's go.
Hey, whatever. At that point, it's like you may as well just have Vin Diesel and his family roll in because we'll do
I swear, if I see a Dodge Charger going by the damn moon and there's dinosaurs,
why not?
I'm like, okay,
why not? That's where these franchises. Once you get past like the 4th or 5th movie, that's the only logical thing to do with a franchise is just do outlandish, stupid shit. I think Jurassic Park is getting there, and I know that
this is film number 7.
Brooding Gamer probably wants it to go another 10 or 12 movies because he just loves his dinosaurs, and I get it, I really do. But we're getting to the point where dinosaurs in space is on the horizon. And that's kind of where I'm looking at it. Like, it's like the visuals will be cool, but the quality of the filmmaking might start to suffer a little bit. But yeah, I don't know.
I'll still see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. It looks like it's gonna be a fun movie, but it seems to me like we're getting farther and farther away. Oh yeah.
Like that shot you had, I was like, that is some horror movie shit. That right there.
Yeah. That scene where he's just like, please open the door for me. I was like, I feel really bad for that guy. It's not.
I hate to be. I'm like,
it's
you
not
could
just
have
like
still opened the door. He could have got out. That fucker's slow.
Yeah, it's not just like he's like pounding on the door, like he's just like, please open the door for me. I'm like, oh, I feel bad. I feel bad that sad dude's about to die. I feel really
right because him just like, please let me out. And then you see that hand just curl around him, those big nails on that dinosaur. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, whoa.
But yeah, we're getting into Cloverfield monster territory with Jurassic Park, so it's
but we got the Spinos back. We're still rooting for them Spinosauruses, man.
But but one more thing before we get out of here, celebrity deaths. Go over to Heistman Defoe's channel. He did a video about this earlier today. Norm died. George Wendt passed away at the age of 76. So sad. For those of you who spent a lot of time at the place where everybody knows your name on Cheers, that ran for a long time from 82 to 93, George Wendt was fantastic. We were talking about this before the show. Cheers was a shade before your time, but it's one of those. It's kind of like Friends and for some reason Seinfeld. It's one of those shows that has kind of transcended. It's kind of transcended generations, and it's impacted TV in a lot of really big ways. Obviously, the spinoffs that came most significantly, Frasier, which I actually like Frasier a lot more than I like Cheers. But very very sad goodbye to George Wendt. I was actually, strangely enough, just the other night. I usually watch MASH as I'm falling asleep at night.
Nice.
And I was watching the episode with him in it from the early 80s, like 80, 81, where he plays a Marine who comes into the MASH unit because he was at Rosie's Bar, which is the place where they all get a drink in the show. And he thought that he would win a bet by jamming a pool ball in his mouth, but couldn't get it out, so has to go to the MASH unit to get them to take the pool ball out of his mouth. That was good comedy. And also, don't forget, Tex, if you're still watching, he actually does have a horror credit to his name. He was in the movie House in 1982, which is one of my favorite horror movies from when I was a kid. It's one of the movies I've been wanting to review for a while. I'm gonna have to find that so we can get that on the schedule. But so he's got a little bit of a horror background as well. But very sad. George Wendt. Again, he hasn't really been huge since Cheers went off the air, but I don't know what your exposure to him has been, Jeremy. Have you seen George Wendt in anything? I know he had his own TV show for a little while that lasted for, I want to say 10 or 15 minutes, and I mean that almost literally.
Yeah.
I think it lasted like 3 episodes and got canceled or something like that.
I'm trying to look. I was going to say, I don't really know if I've really seen him in a whole lot. Like, I mean, I know put me out to the wolves. I haven't seen Cheers. I'm like, well, but I understand its significance. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't know if I've really seen him in anything else, or maybe something where I'm like, yeah, I probably have, and I just didn't realize it. But it always sucks to lose somebody who's, again, in a a show of that much of a cultural significance. So
I'm looking through his filmography. He was in Airplane 2, the sequel, uncredited role, which I haven't seen that movie in forever. He played Fat Sam in Fletch. I do remember Fletch. Fletch, the two Chevy Chase Fletch movies are freaking hilarious. I actually just watched the remake / recall. I don't even know what it is with John Hamm, and it was funny. It was not as good, but it was funny. It's a different kind of funny.
Not the same. Not the same.
But he was in Gung Ho with Michael Keaton, one of the mid '80s comedies. Keaton was so good at. That's a really funny movie. If you ever get a chance to watch it, you should watch it. The Little Rascals. He was in that. Man of the House from 1995. I don't remember that. Oh, that's that one kid from from Home Improvement. I didn't watch any of their crap. What else was he in? I know he had done some things later on in his career that actually did pretty well. Opposite Day, Santa Buddies. That was the other thing that I never watched it because I'm not really into anything, Christmassy because that stuff gets on my nerves. But
I think I watched the first two Air Buds and I stopped because I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous now. First two were amazing, and then they went really off the rails and went into the Santa Buddies thing, and I was like, what are we doing anymore? Lord.
Yeah, he was actually in the Cheer spinoff, the Tortellis, which that was one that lasted for 3 minutes. He did play Norm. He actually played Norm over a couple of different TV shows. He played Norm on the TV show Wings. I know that's a little. I used to watch that when I was in high school, but I would watch it kind of here and there. It wasn't one of the shows that I would watch constantly, but it was a pretty good comedy, 90s comedy. He actually played Norm in that. So he played Norm on I want to say 4 or 5 different shows. That's at some point. He actually played the Norm character in an episode of The Simpsons. I remember that when it came out back in the mid-90s. Let's see. He was in Spin City. I do remember that because I used to watch that show pretty regularly. Frasier. He did show up in an episode of Frasier in the early 2000s. I remember that.
Makes sense.
And then a bunch of other stuff. He played Norman Family Guy for a couple episodes. He did the voice.
Yeah.
Also, not to mention, he was on Saturday Night Live. He was one of the Bears fans. Duh Bears.
Duh Bears.
Duh Bears. Which that was back when Saturday Night Live was still watchable.
It was still funny.
Saturday Night Live. I mean, it's had moments over the years for sure, but early mid-90s was when that show really started to fall off a cliff, and I don't think it's really been that good since. There's been some skits here and there that are hilarious, but the wall-to-wall hilarity that show used to be, it has not been that for quite some time. I really do think at some point Lorne Michaels has got to pull the plug on that thing and be like, hey, we had a good run of about
60 years? 50.
Hey, easy. I think that show came
out. I did math wrong. I think 50. 50, right? Was it 1975?
75, I think, was the first season. So yeah, that show's a year older, so it is 50 years. Hey, go to hell. Anyway.
Told me to slow down. You just realized that just now, didn't you?
I did. I was trying to find some way to work the math to where it wouldn't make you sound cool, but the reality is
you ran out of fingers and toes to count, I think.
Yeah, once I got to that point, I was like, screw it. We're both just old. But yeah, it's Saturday Night Live has a big for. Honestly, I've said to people that when Mad TV and In Living Color were on the air, that they were way better, infinitely better than what Saturday Night Live was doing at the time.
And then TV went down the hill.
Especially In Living Color. In Living Color was a great show.
Yeah.
God, it was so good. Funny. But we're going to go ahead and start to wrap things up there. I don't know, Jeremy, here we are. 1 episode left in this season. Has this season met your expectations at this point?
I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I think this is working. I'm trying to remember if this is not exactly, but how I said, excuse me, good Lord, how I said I would rather have this had the game played out. So I think this is a little more in tune to what I kind of thought would have flowed a little better. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in this next, if they might still play it out the same way in this next season, but so far I've been enjoying it because it's been even just the little tweaks, but like we said, it doesn't, just because they had that same conversation on the porch instead of they were out on a patrol or something out, it doesn't matter because it still hit and it still hit the way it was meant to. So yeah, it's been done with the character work has been done the right way, which is again the important part. It's the story and the characters that we're following. So I've been enjoying it. It's gonna pop off next episode.
Yeah, as somebody who, one of the things I like about the dynamic of me and Jeremy doing this is he is very in tune with the game, and I am not. I think I played the first one a couple of times. I wasn't really that into it, but I have enjoyed reading about the story and stuff like that. The idea that he's been there.
He's like they're right next to me, right here.
He's been there. He's got the cordyceps bites to prove it. But just watching this from a character perspective, I've been blown away at how good this has been. Again, Craig Mazin, if you haven't watched Chernobyl, go watch it. It's phenomenal. I will spend some Saturdays just watching that from episode 1 to episode 5 and just binge watch the whole series. But it's blowing me away. I mean, it's great storytelling, great character. Again, I know that American Werewolf in New Jersey had said that he wanted more action out of the show, and I get it. There are times where I'm like, I really want some zombies to attack right now to kind of, because like sometimes the emotional level of this show gets really high, and I'm like, I kind of want you to fight a zombie so that I can come down off the emotion for a minute. So then we can, after you fought off a couple of a horde of cordyceps zombies, then maybe we can get back into dialogue. But I can't knock anything they've done with the show so far. I mean, I'm eager to see not necessarily what they do in the next episode, but where they leave us. I think that's going to be interesting to see because.
Where are we going to get to? That's what I want to know.
What point do we get to? How did they leave Ellie? How did they leave? How did they leave? Where do they leave Ellie and Dina in their relationship world? I mean, I honestly I don't imagine we're going to see little baby Dina be born at any point. In this next episode, I think it'll probably happen next season.
That'll be next season.
But it's
sorry, spoilers. Where's the thing? Spoiler.
Spoiler. Spoiler. Next season. Next season. But I'm interested to see where they leave us because I have a feeling they're not gonna. There's gonna be a big blow up. I have a feeling that Ellie and Abby are gonna throw hands a little bit in this next episode. Mm-hmm. Some shooty shoots. There's going to be at least one significant death, maybe two, and then it's where does it leave us? Where does it leave us as we prepare ourselves for what's going to come in season 3? That's what I'm interested to see. But I'm not disappointed at the show at all at this point. I mean, even some of the slower episodes still have such great dialogue, such great acting. And I can't knock any of that stuff. And more Joey Pantoliano, more Joey Pants. That's all I wanted of this episode. You could have given me a little more of him. But anyway,
chewed that goddamn scene up when he did, man.
Oh, for sure he did. Also, I don't know if you realize this. The book that Gail is reading when they're talking in the
diner.
I forgot. I'm talking the diner. I forget the name of the book, but it's actually a book about a guy who survives the apocalypse and is trying to recreate civilization, and only to find out that civilization has to completely crumble or something like that. I forget how it was described. I think New Rockstars did a video about it or something like that. But I thought that was an interesting book for her to be reading, given the circumstances they find themselves in. But we will catch you guys. Don't forget on Thursday, Jeremy, where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
You'll find me there on Thursday because apparently me and Tex are going to do the new Final Destination Bloodlines. So that will be interesting. This is about the 18th movie of that fucking franchise too.
Well, they're going to space soon. I'm pretty sure the next one's going to space.
You know what? You might as well. I don't know. So yeah, I'll be here Thursday with Tex going over that movie, and then I'll be back around Tuesday to talk about where the hell we end up on this. One thing I'll talk to you about it after this, but something else I'm really excited about is the 28 Days franchise coming up. Like I'm thinking like we're going to run through days, weeks, and then when years comes out, holy crap, we got to hit that one because I'm really excited.
I was watching the last trailer a couple of days ago. It popped up in my feed. And I was watching as I hadn't watched since it first came out, and I was like, it hits some Last of Us beats. Not at all. Not the same, but it's got a little bit of feel to it that is interesting to me. So
you're years deep into an apocalypse, so yeah, it is like, oh shit, this is where we're at. So
where are you at? How is society dealing with it? How is humanity dealing with it? There's interesting stuff there. I thought the first movie was kind of interesting. The second movie, I don't even remember if I watched it, to be perfectly honest. I'm gonna have to.
I know I did. I just don't remember weeks. I really don't.
I know.
Days
me
is
neither.
amazing. I watched that one a lot.
Me neither. But it also had that grainy kind of 80s look in the first one, which I really dug because
like camcorder, it's very gritty and
I've said that one of the things I like about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, is that sepia kind of grainy film texture.
It feels dirty.
It feels almost sloppy. It feels like you're kind of watching it through that lens because like I go back and through my parents' old pictures of like the 70s and early 80s, and they had that grainy like border area because of the way that the film was developed, and it's like those have a different feel to look at, and that movie's the same thing. I think that's one of the things I really liked about 28 Days Later was it had that same kind of grainy feel to it that made it watch like it was one of those old 80s horror movies. But
it kind of did because they were just having to, shut down all of London for about 5 minutes to get a whole scene, and they had to just go. You know what I mean? So like it lends itself to that, and I think it worked out phenomenally. It looks, man, it's almost claustrophobic in a way. Some of those tight shots were chaotic. Maybe is what I'm trying to say. Is these zombies are run at you at breakneck speed, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Oh my god, why is Doctor Who here? What? I saw you there, Mr. Eccleston, like a year before you were the Doctor. So maybe he died and regenerated into the Doctor. I don't know.
Well, he's got that special screwdriver, so he just traveled to where they were.
It didn't work on the zombies very well, now did it, dude?
He's like, damn it. He said, why does Jim TARDIS bring me here?
He got his little police box and he got back out.
He's like, okay. He's like, this place sucks. Let's go to Cabo. Let's go someplace to the beach and some Mai Tais.
You have all of time and space at your disposal. Like, why did you go there?
Yeah. But Jeremy will be back here breaking that down with Tex on Thursday. I will not be here Thursday. Still in the process of moving. Got a long work week as well. But yes, I do have some stuff moved into the new studio space at the new house. I will hopefully start putting that stuff together over the course of the next week or so. The first couple of videos from the new place, the walls are going to be a little bare. I still have some work to do with the walls there, but it will come together. It will come together. I will finally have my own studio space. I won't have to share a room with, my girlfriend who takes up all the space with all her woman stuff. But she's
sitting right next to me. I don't know what you're talking about. I only got this half of the room.
I'll finally have my own space. I might even put up some of those what are those egg crate looking things, those sound absorbers to make it look like a real studio. Feel special.
Walls, yeah.
Or actually, what I'm probably gonna do is put up.
Looking at
some shelving.
You heard what I said.
Let's see you look at a side eye. It caught her stream cut up with her. There you go. I said what I said.
But we will see you guys back here on. I'm clicking all the wrong shit. We will see you guys back here on Thursday as Jeremy breaks down with Tex the bloodline. Thank you to Jeremy for bringing your expertise in this franchise, in the Last of Us franchise, to bear as we break this all down. One episode left. It might be a banger. I'm interested to see how this goes. Thanks all of you for coming to hang out with us. We very much appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Till then, adios. I clicked the wrong thing. Damn it. See, I'm all over the place.
Did you?
Today.
Oh, no.
I wanted this because this is how I usually end things. But because I'm clicking all over the place, I'm not using my computer right now.
I screwed up last week too. Don't worry. Don't feel bad.
That's all right. That's right. You're doing great when you're running stuff. I'm very happy to have you around. You carry Tex and all these guys very well.
I try to.
Ellie went to space, by the way. Bye, everybody.
Fingers in space.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.